Good afternoon, everyone. Guys, thank you for joining me. So we've got some breaking news from Ukraine. We're going to talk about the attacks that have recently taken place there. I'm going to tell you what the mainstream is telling you, and then I'm going to tell you what I know about that particular region. And I'm going to speculate what's actually happening, and it feeds into what I've been saying on this channel for quite a while. Also, guys, in fact, there's an ongoing cyber attack in the Transport for London region. We'll talk about that. But first, is it just me again, or is there more churches on fire around Europe? It seems absolutely wild. You know, what is this? Is somebody targeting churches with fire? Guys, if you've not watched my video on sabotage, I'll try and link it to the end of this video. But if not, go scroll back down through my videos. I give you a top 10. I give you 10 likely sabotage events, 10 likely sabotage targets, and the methods saboteurs would use. We know that saboteurs are working in Europe. There's lots of articles being put out about this. Guys, I believe saboteurs are working in the United Kingdom. I believe they'll start to work more openly, and I've identified that the United Kingdom, we have so many vulnerabilities that are easily open to saboteurs. So let's talk about quickly what's been happening in London. Transport for London's computer systems have been targeted in an ongoing cyber attack. It said there was no evidence customer data had been compromised. So no evidence doesn't mean it's not happened. And there were currently no impact on TfL services, Transport for London. Now, guys, I keep saying these things are going to happen more and more often. Remember, a private company, so like your banks, your big financial institutions, anywhere that you put your money, those are the things that are the golden standard for a cyber attack. One, you can get paid for your work. Two, they want to cause the gold standard for any cyber attack is to cause financial crash or a banking meltdown. So let's go. So that's what's happening in London, guys. I'll bring you more on that as it comes out. But at the moment, there's not really much out on it. They're not really giving much information that's out there at all. Anyway, what we're going to talk about now is Ukraine. Like I said, I will share this with you. I'll share this with you guys and I'll tell you what I know about this area. So Ukraine's president says 41 people have been killed in a Russian missile strike on the Ukrainian city of Poltava. Another 180 were wounded, the president says. Reports are that 2 missiles hit an educational institution. Remember, guys, remember that wording, educational institution. They're not saying it's they're not saying it's a school. They're not saying it's a university. So what could it be? What education are they doing? Unconfirmed reports say the military training center was one of the buildings hit. So that's what we're going to go for, guys. And if you scroll down here to this one, I'll put the links in the description. More claims that target was a military training center. So as we reported, the Ukrainian president says the strike hit an educational facility and a hospital. But reports circulating online, and remember what I always say, guys, you can't hide anything anymore. Nothing can be hidden. There's too many people with these things now, doing films, taking pictures, and there's too much open source information now to hide things. But reports circulated online suggest one of the buildings may have been a military training center. Now, if you remember from my previous videos when we talked about what NATO troops, what the EU, the EU, United European Union military mission Ukraine, or some military assistance mission Ukraine, we talked about what they would be doing. And I said, I'll link the video at the end, I said, right, okay, with this, they would be giving, with the training that these people give, there would be an element of mentoring. So like when you're driving a car, you don't learn in a simulator, you don't learn how to drive in a car park, you have to go out in the real world. So when these instructors give their training, they will have to give some sort of mentoring, and that all comes under the banner of training and mentoring. So let me show you where Poltava is on the map and why that is significant in the greater scheme of things. So Poltava's right here, guys. So it's a good distance from the front line, but it's close enough for that to be a day's trip. So then this is me speculating now, guys. If I was planning a mission and if I was in charge of Special Forces operations or Special Forces training missions, I would use Poltava because you've got a few strategic advantages. First of all is the distance. Then you've got this river. If you see this river here, this river that comes down, I'm not quite sure what it's called. That river will be a natural choke point. So any Russians advancing, if they do manage to break through, they're limited to where they can cross over into Poltava because of this river. So that's kind of why you would use Poltava as a strategic location to do any training. Now, again, this is me speculating on what the guys will be doing on the ground. So you've got to look at the situation, okay? The Ukrainians are recruiting a lot of people that have no military experience. The people who do have military experience, they can't really pull them back from the front line to bolster other places because they've got the experience and they're needed on the front line. So how do you deal with this situation? How do you deal with this mass influx of untrained recruits, you know, when you need to fight a war? Well, again, my speculation. What I would do is I would give them task-specific training. So, okay, right, you 100 guys, we are going to train you for this mission, Mission X. You know, once you've completed Mission X, we're going to bring you back. We're going to train you for the next mission. That way, you don't have to train like if you're in the British military, for example, you would do a basic infantryman's course. You would then go on to do your infantryman's course, advanced infantry, and then you would be sent to your unit. From your unit, you would continue doing training, and you're never a fully trained soldier. So there's no time you can put on this. The more training, obviously, the better. But the reality of the situation on the ground in Ukraine is they don't have time. So that's what I think they would be doing. I think they would be using Poltava as a base, and they will be pushing forwards from there. They will be surging forwards from Poltava after they've done their training in whatever training area is in and around Poltava. They will be conducting their mission and coming back. Or they may even be staying in situ. These training camps, again, guys, I keep saying this is my speculation. These training camps would be and have to be fitted with, you know, Western special forces, whether that's British, American, you know, French, if there is such a thing, you know, and those guys can then relay whatever message is happening back to base command, back to NATO command, whoever they're reporting to, guys. I don't know who they're reporting to, but they can do that with such an order of magnitude more efficiency than the Ukrainians can, because they will know their own systems, they will know their own kit and equipment. There'll be no issues of trust, there'll be no language barriers, and that will make that whole system a lot easier and a lot more efficient. So that's what I think's been happening there, guys. Again, my speculation. I think Poltava's been used as a special forces training camp for task-specific training. The recruits or the trained militias, whatever, you know, they're getting pushed forwards, they're doing their task, and they're coming back to Poltava, retraining, and then going out for another task. Also, what I think will be happening, the Ukrainians need to start giving, I'm sure they've been doing this for a while anyway, but they'll be giving a lot of thought into if the Russians manage to break through in Pokrovsk, what's there to stop them? And there's nothing there to stop them. So the Ukrainians are going to have to start thinking about fighting a guerrilla war, an asymmetric war, a non-conventional war, whereby, you know, you would be fighting in civilian clothes, you would be doing ambushes, roadside attacks, you would be doing a lot of sniping, basically all the nasty stuff that, you know, the Taliban used to do on the coalition. That's the sort of stuff that I'm pretty confident that at some aspect in Ukraine, the Ukrainians will be getting trained up on how to do this, you know, by, again, it doesn't really matter at this point whether this is an American who's a contractor, whether it's an American who works for a 3-letter agency, whether it's an American who's in green uniform. And again, you know, American can be synonymous with British, French. You know, I don't even like using the word French because I don't think there are any French special forces. They're certainly special, but in a different context of the word. So more than likely, guys, you know, you can pretty much surmise it's going to be Brits. Now, this would be leading up towards the US election. If Trump wins, and it's looking like he's gonna, if Trump wins, what I can see happening is a funding pull from Ukraine, and then Britain are going to be left to deal with that as the forefront. And then Britain, now I say Britain will be leading with it. Britain will be leading because they will have the most sophisticated special forces units in that region. They will be able to dictate, command and control that area. I don't feel, and I'm pretty confident in saying this, I don't feel there's any other nations in NATO who can provide that that facility. Is it that overwatch, that training, that mentoring, that operational experience? There really isn't anyone there. So that's why I think Brits will take the lead by 2025. You'll have then the Americans pulling their funding, pulling whatever assets they've got, and the Americans would focus on the potential conflicts in the Middle East. Guys, I've given you a lot of information there, and some of it's from the mainstream, and a lot of it's my speculation as well. Guys, my speculation is my speculation. If you disagree with it, please put it in the comments. If you agree with it, also put it in the comments. Guys, I look forward to speaking to you guys again. I'm going to back to grid.